Greetings, this is Dan Larson, and I'll be your host for today's Quiet Echo. Only a quarter of Americans say they know most of their neighbors. Between 2003 and 22 face-to-face socializing declined by 30% for American men and by more than 45% for teenagers. We are more connected than any generation in history, and we do not know the name of the person living on the other side of the wall. I have spent 25 years building houses in Cedar Valley. I can tell you part of the reason the house decided for you. The homes I built early in my career had front porches wide enough for 2 chairs and a conversation. The garage was on the side or in the back. The front door faced the street. When you walked up to the house, you walked toward the people who lived there. The porch said something before the door opened. It said, "We are here. Come closer." The houses I am asked to build now face the street with a garage door. The front entrance is a decorative afterthought between the garage and the landscaping. The living space is in the back, behind a privacy fence, facing a yard nobody outside the family will ever see. The message the house sends to the street is different now. It says we are not available. I do not blame the homeowners. They are buying what the market offers. I do not blame the architects. They are designing what the market rewards. But somebody should say out loud what the blueprints are doing to the neighborhood. When the garage faces the street, the car goes in, the door comes down, and the family disappears. No wave, no pause where a conversation might begin. Let me tell you something about porches most people have forgotten. Before air conditioning, families sat on the porch because it was the coolest place in the house. The porch was not a design feature, it was survival. But it did something no architect intended. It put people where other people could see them. The widow next door came over with a question about her gutters. The teenager down the block stopped to ask if your son could come out. None of this was planned. It happened because the house was built facing outward. Now the house faces inward. The backyard has a deck. The deck has a grill. The family eats dinner 30 feet from their neighbor's family eating dinner, separated by a 6-foot fence, and neither family knows the other is there. 2 families, 2 meals, 2 separate silences, and a fence between them nobody ever chose to build. The developer built it. The blueprint called for it. The family moved in and the fence was already there. I think about this on Sunday mornings. I am the stake president in Cedar Valley. People come to me with problems they have carried alone for months, sometimes years. Marriage trouble, money trouble, grief they do not know how to name. And I have noticed something. The ones who come latest, the ones who wait until the problem is almost too heavy to carry, are almost always the ones who do not know their neighbors. They have no one on the other side of the wall to notice them struggling, no one on the porch to see them walking slower than usual, no one close enough to say you look tired. Are you all right? The front porch was never just a place to sit. It was an early warning system. It was how a town kept watch over its own without making a project out of it. You did not need a program or a committee. You needed a chair and a line of sight to the sidewalk. Aisha wrote last month about loneliness. Chloe wrote yesterday about inheritance, what we pass to our children through our hands and our choices. Both are stories about connection being interrupted. The front porch is another one. It is the oldest one. And unlike the others, this one is drawn into the blueprint before the first nail is driven. I keep a notebook. I write down verses and thoughts when the day gets long. I wrote this last week. The first act of hospitality is the architecture. Before you invite someone in, the house has already told them whether they are welcome. Rebecca and I sit on our front porch most evenings when the weather is fair. It is not a large porch. 2 chairs, a small table, and a view of the street. People walk by and wave. Some stop. Last Tuesday, a man I had not spoken to in a year stopped because he saw me sitting there and remembered something he had been meaning to ask. The conversation lasted 4 minutes. It would not have happened if I had been on the deck in the back. 4 minutes. One conversation. One man who walked by and saw a chair and a face and decided now is the time. Let's find a way. If you are building, ask your builder for a real front porch, not a decorative overhang, a porch with room for chairs. If you already have one, sit on it. If you do not, put 2 chairs in your front yard and see what happens. You do not need a permit for hospitality. You need a chair and the willingness to be seen. The front porch is open. It has always been open. The question is whether anybody is sitting on it. This is Dan Larson, your host for today's Quiet Echo. Thanks for listening. Quiet Echo is part of the fictional Cedar Valley news series. Written by Evan Swenson, publisher, Publication Consultants, and Claude Marshall, AI developmental editor. While the people in town are fictional, the national events they reflect on are real. The front porch is open. Readers of the Cedar Valley News are gathering on Facebook to respond to the editorials, share their own stories, and join a conversation built on respect, honesty, and no party lines. Come sit with us. I will put the link in the show notes.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time, keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open.